Hello, this is Greg Alson, Green Greg's, coming to you on the 15th of December, 21. Time on deck, 5,700 hours Central Standard Time. Ladies and gentlemen, war drums are beating today louder than they have any time since 1939, and maybe even a lot louder than at that time. Now, what you got to know is this. While we stand at the cusp of maybe an imminent war with Russia, or at least a war between Russia and Ukraine, perhaps an invasion there, possibly, it looks very likely at the moment, or a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. And I'm gonna have to come back to you guys and explain why I really am now beginning to expect that's going to happen in 2022. There are some factors going on in China that tells me that might be their last best chance. They may be on it now. So we're going to talk about that real soon. But there's something else that has escaped our view, something else that's not been on our radar that may boil over any second now, and that is Iran and Israel. And it may just drag us in. Israel and Iran are at it. It just so happens that the peace talks, the nuclear deal talks to try to revive the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was a nuclear deal that existed with Iran before, have hit a snag, a real serious snag. It looks like it's not going to go through. Iran is insistent that we come to the table and fully take all the sanctions off and then negotiate while they're running hard as they can to finish the job that's almost done, which is having the ability to build a bomb, a nuclear device. Now, all that said, Israel's having none of that. They want us to be harder line than what we're planning. And Israel has already formed up attack plans. Israel has formed their attack plans. And Iran has countered with their target list in Israel, which is almost everything in Israel. And the United States is dragging their feet on the orders of some refueling tankers, which Israel wants desperately. We're going to go all into this. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to try to make this a quick video tonight, because I do plan to go live a little bit later with my normal little community chat session, which I like to have amongst my subscribers. But right now, we're looking at the threats available to us, what we may have to worry about. Why? Because this is part of my eyes wide open and head on a swivel news to bring you the news for what we got to look out for, so that you know that you need to be prepping. Maybe you can take action. Maybe we can call our congressman to get us to stay out of some of these things. Maybe we can prevent some of these things from happening. But short of that, we better know that our prepping better be snapping in. We got to get ready, guys, like never before, because we're living in extremely uncertain times. I'll bring you these stories so that you can share them also with your friends and family, so they'll know to prep. Because the more of your friends, families, and neighbors is prepping, the less likely they're to come to eat your stuff than maybe you. So we got to get this moving along, and we got to form our communities, and we better get moving, guys. Our time may be extremely short based on my latest intelligence. It might be extremely short, and I hope I'm wrong. I pray I'm wrong. All right. So to get more of this news, subscribe to my channel, bang the update notification bell, and click all. Also, I've got a lot of other videos here. There's a lot of videos on my channel about how to grow your garden, which you're going to need to know about the importance of saving seeds. And you can always go to True Leaf Market to get seeds for your garden. Check the links below. And I also do things like I've done a couple of videos going to the box stores, showing them what to get out of the big box stores, about cans, how long they can last, and eating free from the weeds in the trees. Several videos on that, wild edibles, wild medicinals. Those are things that you really need to know. But guess what? You still need the carbs. You still need especially when you're working so much every day as you will be with the grid down situation. You'll be putting out a lot more effort than you do today with all our modern conveniences. And you're going to need proteins and other things like that also you find hard to get from the weeds and the trees. Plant some beans. But guess what? If we have a nuclear winter, you may not be able to grow anything. Well, you may have to save those seeds for a few years, but you're going to be glad you got them when things thaw out. So, my friends, in the meantime, and especially if you're bugging out, I'm going to give a shout to prepwithgreg.com. If you go to prepwithgreg.com, you can get food that lasts for 25 years. I got a special right now, $100 off a 3-month supply that gives you 2,000 calories a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's a deal to make you a winner. Now, that is 6 of these buckets. This bucket has 2 weeks of food, but it is freeze-dried. So it makes it lightweight. Your kids can carry it. I mean, your little kids can carry this. It's easy to store. It's easy to transport. It's easy to bug out with. even including put it in your backpack, because it's got these nice little handy dandy pouches, which is much smaller than the competitor's pouch. It's 4 servings, by the way. A can like this, which is going to hurt in your backpack, is only 2 servings. So, take that by comparison. So, guys, it's hard to beat. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 2,000 calories a day, which is more than competitors offer. They get taught like 800. So this is real. This is the food to take you through, to sustain you and help you get through the hard times, especially if you have a nuclear winter, volcanic winter, or if you're on the run so much you can't settle down to grow anything, you got to move your seeds. You can put these in easily into caches where you bury them. A whole lot better than you can canned food in jars. But do canned food by all means. Use your jars, but you probably want those in your home Bugout location. But this stuff you can take with you. It's very good. Check it out, prepwithgreg.com. Okay, we're going to go into some websites here real fast, guys, and I'm going to show y'all some things. Ding, ding. We're going to just go through ours, kind of summarizing what I've already said, basically, and maybe a little bit more depth, but we're going to blow through these. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this tonight, guys. I do want to go live tonight. I need to do 100 other things. So here we are. As Iran nuclear talks hit snags, Israel seeks harder U.S. line. Okay, now this is actually from 10 days ago. It's got worse. It has got worse. I'm picking some articles here from websites that don't crowd me with even more ads than this one does. So they crash my memory. There's some of the websites that's got the best news have got the worst stuff in them. I had a New York Times thing up here, but they blocked it. So here we go, guys. This is what is happening. This is Prime Minister of, this is the Israeli Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett. And they've been trying to make these negotiations and they've had no luck at all. So like I said, we're going to blow through this stuff, guys. So what it turns out here is we got General Kenneth McKenzie Jr. here talking about just how close Iran is to building these bombs. And what he says is, you hear people, oh, they got 20%. No. They got 60% enrichment and they're heading to 90. They're really cooking the enrichment on this material, guys, far more than what you need for the research purposes that they tell us they want to do or to produce nuclear power. Iran is now further along with its nuclear weapons program than ever, producing stocks of uranium enriched to 60% purity. I mentioned this to you guys weeks ago that they were finding these samples. Well, they're further along now than they were. Trust that. It says here now, edging toward 90% weapons grade material. Guys, that's it. When it gets to 90%, that is the prize, and they're heading there real fast. They are very close at this time, McKenzie said. I think they like the idea of being able to break out. So they're just trying to buy a little time. That's all they want. They can just get a little time. We let the sanctions off on negotiate. Well, bing, they're there. And then if we decide to throw the sanctions back on, they just laugh at us because they've been heading there. And this is all they've been doing. They've been heading toward this all along. Now, yeah, sure. Israel also has bombs. That's true. Well, it's believed to be true. That seems to be what everything indicates, and quite a few of them. But it wouldn't take but a couple to actually do Israel in, because Israel's only got a couple primary population centers that they could be wiped out easily with just a couple of devices like that. So Israel is very vulnerable to such an attack. Now the U.S. has said, "Oh, we got tools to deal with Iran if the talks fail," and they're mostly talking about sanctions, which that hasn't done any good. What good is our sanctions haven't stopped anybody from pursuing something they really, really want. And that's a fact. Throughout the history of our sanctioning, their effects have been very deplorable. And it makes our politicians feel good. They can snap themselves on the back and talk about what a good job they did, but they really accomplished a lot of sound and fury, much about nothing, as Mark Twain would have said. The United States is making final decisions and prepping for a world in which there is no return to the Iran nuclear deal, said the senior State Department official. Okay, so see what they're saying now, that time is running out. This deal is not coming together. It's pretty obvious. Now they're laying it on here and they're talking about the tools. And they're actually saying that, hey, it's possible that we might use military options, that it's on the table. Prime Minister here, Bennett, says that they don't want to succumb to Iran's nuclear blackmail. And that's what we're talking about. Again, this agreement that existed before was a joint comprehensive plan of action, as I mentioned previously. So it is out the door. Now, the reason that Trump had went out of it is because Iran was just marching along, doing what they wanted anyway, and he tried to use sanctions to get them to slow down, and it didn't work, of course. They just kept on going, maybe more than ever. But they were going anyway. They were producing stuff, and that's what the Mossad did an intel hit on an Iranian facility and produced a lot of documentation explaining the details of the program and how they were bent on making the bomb. And at first, Iran denied it, but then Iran actually later said, well, those documents are actually legitimate. So they actually later confessed that they were real and what the Mossad found was real. Now, I'm no big fan of the Mossad or any of those guys, okay? So don't start making me out to be a fan. I'm just telling you impartially what's going down here, what is going around. This is my whole point. And it really pertains to, I'm not taking sides, it pertains to war. It pertains to what's going to hit us here. It pertains to how our country is aligned itself. It pertains to prepping. It pertains to Iran can take down our power grid. They've already said they can do that. So for those that don't recall, that I said it like 20 dozen times in the 100 different videos of mine, is that there are 9 critical substations that have been deemed so vulnerable if they were taking down our entire nationwide power grid would fail. The head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard was told this, and his response was, we got sleeper agents ready to take out 20 of them. We already got 20 targeted. That's what he said, literally. We already have 20 targeted. Okay, that's lovely, right? And also, there's a possibility that they have a device that they might pull off an EMP attack, and they do have hackers, lots of hackers there. So here we are, guys. Defense Minister Benny Gantz of Israel, he is their defense minister, presents an Iran attack timeline to U.S. officials. Yes, Israel is planning to hit. They have already set their plans. Now, that is kind of stupid, really. You're going to plan to hit somebody and you tell the world? What? What kind of nonsense is that? Sounds like, kabuki theater with nukes. No, that is crazy nonsense, but that is what's going down here. The world has been notified that they have set a timeline for attack. Now, one of the things that is stymieing their plan timeline for attack, is that the same article all over again? Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be. Let's see here. I hate when my apps fight each other. Yeah, okay. Well, what I had meant to have here was an article. Is this it? Here we go. The United States, though, is actually had cut a deal. We've sold these tanker aircraft to refuel Israeli jets. This is what they need to be able to pull this attack off, and we have backed off on that. Well, we haven't backed off. We're just not accelerating. They're asking us to accelerate delivery of these, and we're saying no. And it may be that we really can't. But yeah. So we're not helping Israel out in this regard. Israel wants to go. They want to go now. If they really need to be able to refuel their jets to get in there and do the kind of attacks they want to do on Israeli nuclear sites, but on Iranian nuclear sites, pardon me. Now, Iran is having none of it. Of course, they're not going to sit back with this, especially if you tell them in advance they're going to be hit. What do you expect? Maybe they hit first. The best defense is a good offense, is the old saying, right? So who knows? Iran might just up and hit Israel. Boom, just like that one. It's not we're expecting Israel to hit. Iran may say, we've had enough of this. We're going to hit. And they've already, this is the Tehran Times, as published in the Times of Israel. It's the front page of the Tehran Times on today, December 15th, 2021. Guys, this is breaking news. Tehran Times says just one wrong move, and they got all these targets. They don't say nothing else about it. There's no details, just that. And so the rest is open to interpretation. Just one wrong move. And what do you got here? Ding, ding, ding. All these targets. Let's blow up. There we go, guys. That's it. Just one wrong move. Well, that's covering Israel with lots of hits of something. So you might remember back in the first Gulf War, Saddam launched his Scud missiles at Israel because he tried to get Israel into the conflict, and it failed because he thought if he got Israel in the conflict, he would get a lot of allies in the Arab world and have a larger conflict, and that failed. But Iran has far more and far deadlier and more accurate missiles than the Scuds that was launched by Saddam Hussein back many years ago. Was it 20 years ago? Farther, it was some time ago. It was more like 30 years ago. It says 90s, wasn't it? Yeah, early 90s, that first Gulf War. Okay, that has been a while ago. So I'd say more. 30 years ago, guys. So Iran is way ahead of where Iraq was at that time. And so you go, Greg, this is Israel, it's Iran, it's what does it got to do with me? Let's stop the share. What's it got to do with me? That's over there. Well, because we got all kind of stuff wrapped up. We've been fighting a proxy war with Iran too. And Iran also has been sending a lot of stuff to Venezuela, quite a bit. And furthermore, Iran has already threatened to take down our grid. So, they claim if they have a war, it's in their SOP, the Standard Operating Procedures. If they have a war with us, it's in their military manuals. Tell that they will take our grid down, or at least try to. And if they got 20 teams of sleeper cells here, it's quite doable. It's quite doable. So our grid could go down over this. We could lose our power grid, or worse, and we could get involved in this. And if we get into it with Iran, then Russia may say, good time to move, which they may do. I don't think they're going to wait on that if they go, but it may also prompt China to make their move. Maybe that would be happening around the same time frame, because China really to move on, unless they're just doing an air and missile attack. If they're trying to do a landing attack, that's going to have to be probably after March, or at least later in March, when the sea states start dying down again in the Taiwan Strait, which is a very long from now. They might start their air campaign maybe in February. Maybe little Kim will do something to distract everything. So there we go, guys. We are in dire straits. We got a potential war actually now with Bosnia and Serbia. We've got potential war between Turkey and Greece, between Belarus and Poland, between Russia and Ukraine, Russia and Europe, Russia and the United States, and you don't forget Pakistan and India. And now China's moving a whole bunch of stuff on the Indian border, China and India. China's been, their coast guards have been really picking on the Philippines. Then you got, of course, Taiwan. Then you got China and Japan. And then you got the Koreans, the entire new circle of fire. Isn't just the one around the Pacific Ocean. We have a new circle of fire. It's all around Asia. The whole Asian continent is surrounded by military hotspots just ready to go. So I'm gonna have to cover some of these others. I'm gonna have to talk about them in the very near future. What could happen? What could happen? And again, how's this going to affect us here? Look, if there is a limited exchange of nuclear weapons, it doesn't take, it may be 50, 100, it may not take that. I mean, it could be, look, Israel has said 200 or 300. We could wind up with a nuclear winter, a smaller scale nuclear winter, but enough to really damage worldwide crops, to make let more ozone through our atmosphere, which would further damage crops, which could cause starvation around the world. Economies could wreck. Supply chains. Oh yeah, supply chains would really love any of these conflicts. We could really mess up a lot of supply chains in the world, including fuel deliveries to Europe. If the prices go up there, they're going to go up other places. It's a spot market, these commodities around the world. So we can expect that to affect fertilizers, which we can expect, which is already going up like 300% fertilizer cost. We can expect that to affect availability of stuff to make fertilizers out of, availability and prices of food, compound that with a potential nuclear winter, with a potential increase in UV, grand solar minimum, whatever else you want to throw in this equation here, guys. We've got a lot of uncertainty coming at us. And 2022 isn't looking that good. I'm gonna have to do a forecast on 2022, but I'm gonna give you bits and pieces of it too, because I'm seeing some ominous stuff with China that makes me think they might move sooner than they really had wanted to originally, even. That their last best chance may be just months away. The last best chance for China to hit Taiwan, if that's what they want to do, might indeed be this spring. Let's hope it's not. Let's hope that can be discouraged. If we can keep China from doing this, if we can hold it off, and if Russia, if we don't get involved in the Ukraine, we may have decades of prosperity ahead, or we just may burn like a cinder, and that may come before around the end of December. We don't want that. A war with Russia, China is unbelievable, and we just don't want to go there. So y'all need to let your politicians know that. Write them. Go to freedomrestorationfoundation.org and go on the action page. It tells you everything you need to know about contacting your politicians. Tell them, guys, we need to keep this stuff, man. We need cool heads prevail. Quit making racket and threatening you're going to nuke somebody. Stop that. Cut it out. You know, we've got, you know, the Senator Wicker of Mississippi making that kind of noises. Really? That's irresponsible. Very, very irresponsible. It's irresponsible to for Israel to say, "Oh yeah, we're planning the attack." It's really, you know, we got a lot of irresponsible actions going on right now from all sides. If you hear them doing it, and then you tell the news, "Oh yeah, Israel's planning an attack," you know, then that's also irresponsible. Why? Because it prompts the other side to think maybe we should hit first. And even if these guys aren't for real, which these guys are probably already suspecting this, you know, the world's on a knife edge. It's a powder keg with little powder kegs all around Asia. Any of them just waiting to set it off. The fuses are hot. So it's something not to be forgot. Get ready. Prep now like your life depends on it. We got to start forming our groups. We want to get with that really soon. Start with your friends and family. The ones you trust the most, that have your back when it goes down. Folks, it's going to help you out. It's got to be people you know and trust, because it's like getting married when you go into a mutual assistance group, a mag group, a tribe group, whatever you want to call it. You better vet people. Bring in strangers, you better vet them up one side down, do background searches, get references. Because there's a lot of people out there who are just looking for a free meal. And you might be it. It might not be your preps, it might be you. So be careful. Be very, very careful. But we can't do this alone, guys. We can't do it alone. I hope these things don't come to pass. Let's pray very much. You know, and another thing I want to talk about soon is the metaverse, which is kind of like, you know, we got neural lace, and we've got neural lace, and we have Elon said that he's going to put neural lace in people next year. Next year, and the metaverse is coming out very fast. You combine these two, what do you got? Stop the Matrix. And oh yeah, now we got a new Matrix movie coming out. What's the time? What's the date of its release? 12/22/21. It's palindrome. Very interesting date. 12/22/21. Wow. What does that mean? All right, my friends. Time to be aware. Head, eyes wide open and head on a swivel. But just remember this. The most effective thing we can do, and we start with ourselves. That is to remember that light dispels dark and love dispels hate. Spread your love light. Spread the light of love as far and wide as you can. And hopefully it will infect other people and keep spreading. We don't need the kind of hatred we have in this country, the kind of hatred we got in the world. People are people. Down in the core, we're all the same. A lot of us got different agendas. A lot of us have been influenced by different worldviews, and we take in all the information we see, filter from the worldview we have, which is the tint on our rose-colored glasses. Try to understand and see through and appreciate other people's rose-colored glasses. Reach across the aisle when you can, because the best way to start goodness is with yourself. have the peace of mind, be right with your maker, and prep like your life depends on it. Because right now, you and your family's life may well depend on it. With that, I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I plan to do a live session tonight. Greg out.